Hi guys, it's Sherry. Today we are going to be playing around with some transfer paper. I am going to be making a set of earrings and a matching pendant. I really want to create something for my grandson's mom who absolutely loves sunflowers, so that's what I am going to do. So I cut everything out that I want to use already. They come in a bunch of different strips here. What I want to do is, she doesn't like anything overly big, so I want to kind of keep things small if possible. So I'm thinking of going with a triangle or a circle pendant. And I'm thinking the circle would look prettier, so let's go with the circle. And then for the earrings, I want to use something tiny for her as well. And this is really as small as I could go to really get the capture of everything really nice. So that's what I'm going to do. So this right here, I am actually going to trim this up because I don't want to waste my paper. So I'm just going to kind of mark it where, like, how much I want to use and go from there. This way I could use the rest for a later date. I have my translucent clay rolled out to my middle section of my pasta machine. I don't want this overly too thick. This way I can really just play around and get that, what do you call it, stained glass look. Well, let's see if we could get these on here. I need a little bit bigger. Will it fit on here? Yes. Okay, so let me trim this up because I will not need that much clay. And then I also want to give this a few minutes to kind of sit on the clay for a little bit. This way the ink really absorbs into the clay and you'll get that beautiful bright look. If you go too soon, it's just not going to stick to the clay and you're going to kind of ruin it. So just let it stick to the clay for a couple minutes. It doesn't have to be overly too long. Make sure it has good contact. It's been a couple minutes, so now I'm going to get my bottle of water and I am going to spray my pieces. So you want to get a nice coat of water on this. And the big trick to transfer paper that a lot of people don't realize is you want to let this water set on your paper. The longer that you let it set on the paper, the easier it is to get everything off. So I'm going to give this about 2 to 3 minutes to really soak in, absorb, and you'll see how easy the paper is to remove and how little I have to rub afterwards. So it's been about 3-4 minutes. Now I'm going to take my blade and you're going to see all that paper just easily come right off. So take it on like an angle. Don't dig it into your clay at all, because if you dig it into your clay, you will end up cutting your clay. And you'll see all that paper. And next, I can still see a little bit of fuzzies here. So my fuzzies are going to be my paper that is still on here. So I'm just going to wet this a bit. And then very carefully, just go over with my finger, very lightly. You'll start feeling that paper lifting off the clay. And you'll feel the difference right away between your clay being completely clean of the paper and the paper still being on it. You will honestly you'll know the difference because you'll feel raw clay compared to the clay that is fuzzy. And don't go over and over and over, because then you run the risk of taking the ink off But if you go over very lightly, and I honestly am barely touching it. And I want to show you all the paper that was left on there, because it doesn't look like there's any on there. And look at all that. All that is actual paper. Now you can clean this up after you bake it. I personally like to do it beforehand, but if you don't want to, you could bake it and then rub it off under the sink afterwards. Some people will still get like that fuzzy look after they bake it. That's because the paper is on there. It kind of looks like it's not as bright and it's dingy looking. That is the paper. That is not your ink that looks dingy. It's the paper that's still on there. So just get that paper off, whether it is before or after you bake it. All right, so now you want this to completely dry, and I give it about 10 minutes to dry before I do anything else with it. All right, so these are pretty good, but what I want to do is kind of highlight my flowers just a little bit. So I have my Sharpie Creative marker, and I am just going to add a little bit of yellow here and there. And not a lot, just a tiny bit, just to give it a little bit of highlights. Now you don't have to do this. This is just something that I like to do to give all my pieces just a little bit extra something. And since her piece is so tiny, I thought adding just a little extra highlight would give it that little extra special touch. And I'm going to add just a tiny bit of orange in here. And you'll see when I'm done, I'll show you exactly what I'm doing, just in case you can't see, because sometimes my hand will be in the way. But you'll see I'm just adding very, very little. Now I'm not going to put the bright yellow onto this one because this is more like an orangey color. That one has more like yellow, so I'm okay with adding yellow to this one. And then I'm going to put just a tiny bit of blue up here. Not a lot. Just to kind of break up the little bit of colors. I love this paper. I absolutely think it is gorgeous. But my main thing is always adding my own little touch to things. So this is a step you do not have to take. This is something that I like to do on my own. And same thing with green. Just going to add just a tiny bit of green. All right. So you'll see I just added very, very little. It's not overpowering or anything like that. It just gives it that little extra. And I'm going to line this up and figure out exactly where I want this. Put that right under me. Okay, so this is what I have. So now I'm going to place this in the oven at 265, I believe is my Cernet. Yeah, 265. I'm going to bake this for about a half hour and then we'll return and do the next step. My pieces are out of the oven. They're completely cooled off. So next I want to put on my jump rings for bales. So I did the earrings already. And you can see the backs are completed. I just need to bake them now. And I'm going to show you how I put those on. So basically I am going to embed my oval jump ring onto my pendant. So you could do 2 on each side if you want. You could do 1 in the middle. I'm going to do 1 in the middle. So for the earrings, I did them sideways. So facing that direction. And for the pendant, I'm going to kind of mess around and see if I want it up like this or if I want it like that. So it just is a matter of preference, more or less. But for the earrings, I just want it a tiny bit right here. And I don't want to drill a hole in these. I really want these to be as close to stained glass as possible, and that's why I kept them thin. Now I am going to sand this up once they are baked and give it a nice flat back where it's not shiny, and just give it a clean look. So for my pendant, first I want to decide how exactly do I want this. So you could really go any direction. I am going to go up in this one because it kind of looks like it's more tilted the correct way that way. So get your round cutters, and I'm going to cut 2 of these. This is rolled out to my 3rd thinnest set-in. So I'm going to use 2 of my circles here, and I'm going to use a small amount of my oven baked clay adhesive. And what I am going to do is actually just mark exactly where I want my bail. So about right. So I want my bail right here. By marking it, then I know it's going to be exactly where I want it to go. And let me see. I think I'm going to actually put it a little bit long ways because I feel like I'll have more control over it with a round piece. And then I'm just going to take my little circle and press that right on there. And then I'm going to just slowly start to press that clay right around and kind of blend it into the back. Now this will all, once it's cured, will be clear. Make sure you have enough of it sticking up over it. I like exactly where it is. And then I'm going to put the second one on. And the reason I'm going to put the second one on is because then I can really just spread that second layer exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to push down, just blend everything real nice. And then I'm going to take my little stamp here and I'm going to put my little handprint. One on that side and one on that side. Make sure everything is where it needs to be. Take your X-Acto knife or whatever you have and make sure everything is flat on the top. Very happy with that. And now I will bake these one more time, and I'm going to have to do it exactly what the directions say. So if it says 15 minutes, I have to do it 15. If it says a half hour, then I have to do a half hour. Yeah, this is basically the same thing as Primo, so I'm going to bake it again for a half hour. And then from that point, I'm going to stand everything up and we will finish this up completely. All right, guys, so my pieces are out of the oven. I let them cool off. All my sanding is done. You are still going to see, now I did like a buff job on the back, so you are going to see some shininess. But what I am going to do, because I don't want it shiny, is I am going to put a matte sealer on the back, and that will take all my shininess away. But I want to show you what it looks like on the back here. So you can actually see right through that translucent clay and see your jump ring. I like the look. I think it's really neat. If you don't like that, you're going to have to use colored clay on the back. But if you use colored clay on the back just to hide the jump ring, then you are not going to get that stained glass look. So be cautious on that when you're making that decision. I did edge the sides, and I went with this beautiful teal blue. I thought it was gorgeous. So all I did was get my Sharpie marker. I'll put everything in my description area for you guys if you're interested in seeing what products I used. And you just go right over it. These markers I gotta say, are absolutely amazing. They work beautifully. A lot of times you only have to do one coat. And I've been using these more and more on my clay. And look how beautiful. And it dries nice. I am going to seal this all. Normally I edge the very front of my pieces. I am not going to do that this time. I like the look of this particular one not being edged on the top. So I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss anything. And it looks beautiful. We're good. Next, what I am going to do is I have my little sticky mat here, and I am going to put my pieces right on that. I want my pieces to kind of stick, but I want them to hang over. You see how it has like this little lip here now? It has like a bump because I put that extra clay on. What I'm going to do is put that right over the edge. That way it lays flat and I don't have my UV resin kind of pouring over to one part. And these are thin enough that they are flexible. Now they will not remain flexible. Do not constantly try to bend your pieces, guys. I don't understand why people are doing that. Every time you bend your pieces, you are weakening your clay. That is exactly what you're doing. So please do not listen to people that are saying, bend every piece, test every piece. Do not do that. Do it your first batch. Try one piece, see if it's flexible. If it's flexible, good. It doesn't really matter if it is or not. Every piece does not have to be flexible. I'm telling you guys, don't do the test piece like everybody is saying. You are weakening your clay. All right, so now you'll see everything is laying perfectly flat. I love this. This way, like I said, I'm not going to have spillage over. And then I love my J. Diction resin. It's my favorite by far. I use it more than any other resin. And what I'm going to do is just put a little coat right on it. And you don't need a lot. And then I like my little sticks to do my spreading. I really don't even need this stick to hold it. It's habit forming, to be honest, because I do have this piece glued down. Like, this is sticky, so it's kind of like glued down. So I'll show you, if you have these mats, you don't need something to hold it down. I just do it by habit, but it is not necessary. So there we go. Love these. Just make sure everything is all the way to the edge. If you feel like your resin is pulling away from your edge, that's usually a really good indication you do not have enough resin on. So pull it up to the edge. There we go. And then you're going to get your lighter and just lightly go over and pop any bubbles that may have formed. You hate to go through all that trouble of making everything beautiful and then you have a bubble that ruins it. So now I'm going to put this under my UV light. All right, so now my stuff is cured. What I am going to do is pop everything off. I love these sticky mats. They're perfect. And what I want to do is do the back with my bright tone mat. And the reason, like I said, is I don't want these shiny at all. And I want to seal my edges really well. I want to make sure that that paint or the marker is never to come off. So in order to do that, I want to take a tiny brush and just get the littlest bit amount of sealer and go right around my edge. Now, I will tell you, If you have a matte sealer, make sure you stir it, because if you don't, your mat will be shiny. And I learned that the hard way. I couldn't figure out why my matte sealer was remaining shiny, and somebody actually said to me, did you stir it? And I thought, how did I not think of that? So it's something so simple that a lot of people just would not think about. So I'll let this dries really quick. I'll let that dry before I do the top. And that's already dry. So what I'll do is I'll get a tiny bit more here, go right on the top, and then I'm gonna do my back. Now, honestly, the back is not that important as far as whether it's matte or shiny, but this is more by preference. I want my stuff to be matte on the back. I don't want to be shiny. I think it gives it a cleaner look when it comes to the stained glass. All right, guys, and here they are. I hope you could really see through them. I'm going to hold it up to the light in a minute, but look how beautiful these look. I think my daughter-in-law is absolutely going to love these. She loves sunflowers, and these are absolutely gorgeous. I love these papers. There's so many things you could do with them. Let me hold this up to the light so you guys can really just get an idea about these. Now, this one I didn't put the chain on yet. I want to get a really nice chain for her. Can you see how beautiful that is going to look? She is going to love these. I think these are absolutely gorgeous. Let me hold that one up. Look at that. Look how gorgeous. So when these hit the light, you're really going to be able to see through them. Just beautiful. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed creating all these pieces with me. If you did, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all next time. Bye.